Okay, welcome to Burn Speakeasy, the podcast where we speak about business, about leadership, entrepreneurship, and kind of life in general, I guess. I'm your host, I'm Ratman, and today we have a truly insightful episode lined up. We're diving into the mind of someone who's been on both sides of the coin, Peter Gilmore, a seasoned SME owner and a hypnotherapist who's redefining how we tackle stress in business. Peter's journey is far from ordinary. From navigating high pressure world of running his own business to discovering the transformative power of hypnotherapy. He now dedicates his work to helping other business owners manage stress, sharpen focus, and unlock clarity from the inside out. In this episode, I'm really lucky to have him here back, where we're going to talk about stress and what does stress really look like for entrepreneurs, how hypnotherapy and other modalities can rewire our responses, and why mental fitness should be a top business strategy in 2025 and beyond. So whether you're running a startup, leading a team, or simply trying to keep your cool amidst the chaos, this one's for you. So sit back, breathe deep, and let's meet Peter Gilmore. Welcome, Peter. How are you today?
Hello. Yes, very well. Thank you. As I always say, if I'm not all right, then nobody's all right, because I'm the one who fixes everyone else. Yeah, it's funny you talk about me. I never think of myself as a business person. For me, these are things that I do. I suppose you could say they form a business of some type, but I don't really consider myself a business person. I am a hypnotist. I use hypnosis and lots of other things to help people who have businesses, because they are all stressed out, as you say. The World Health Organization has decreed that they found out that stress is at epidemic proportions
Absolutely
in the developed world today, and really we need to do something about it, and not just, people seem to think that stress, anxiety, that sort of thing are part and parcel of everyday life, and my message to everyone is, well, they don't have to be. And it's not true that you need to be a little bit stressed out to perform at your best. To perform at your best, you need to be nice and relaxed. And that's what I help people to do.
For viewers who aren't familiar, how would you explain hypnotherapy in simple terms?
Right, in simple terms.
Very simple terms.
It is a very simple process. I tend to call it hypnosis rather than hypnosis. Hypnotherapy, okay, the clue is in the word, I guess, therapy using hypnosis. I don't make the difference between it. I call it hypnosis. Hypnosis is a state of deep relaxation. And what's the point of that? The thing is, when you're nice and relaxed, then your conscious mind, we have two minds. We've got a conscious mind, a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the left-hand side, the subconscious mind, the right-hand side. And what we want to do is we need to communicate with the subconscious mind, because it's about 90% of everything in there, and it's where your behavior patterns are created.
Okay.
So what we need to do is to bypass the conscious mind. The conscious mind is what we use for normal everyday activities, getting up, going to work, going to school, having a chat, that sort of thing. And it's the negative, prosaic side of the mind. It's the side of the mind which might say, this will never work, or I can't do this.
Those kind of self-limiting beliefs.
Absolutely, that's it,
right.
Exactly.
And that's in the conscious
in the conscious mind, the left-hand side of the mind. What we need to do is to bypass it. And there's lots of different ways of bypassing the conscious mind, but in hypnotherapy, the way mostly it's done is using relaxation. So once you're nice and relaxed, you can bypass that conscious side of the mind, and you can communicate directly with the subconscious mind, and you can then replace negative feelings and emotions with positive suggestions. And
Right.
that is, in simple terms, if you ask me in simple terms what hypnotherapy is, and that's what it is.
It is
So
fantastic.
you see, the thing is that the subconscious mind can only have one idea on any subject at any given time. So, for instance, you can't be happy and sad at the same time.
Correct.
So if you have a little voice in there that says, I'm feeling stressed, what we need to do is to change that for a little voice that says, I feel completely calm and relaxed. And so I get you nice and relaxed. We go in there, we say, hey, subconscious mind, you're feeling calm and relaxed and comfortable. And 1, 2, 3, open your eyes. And then you say, oh, I feel calm
Great.
and relaxed and everything's fine. And it's really as simple as that. And it is, you think I'm making a joke about it, but it really is as simple as that. It's not a complicated process.
Sure. And there's other modalities such as tapping, NLP, breathing. Could you also explain a bit more about that as well?
Right, yes, absolutely. Well, my method that I use, I incorporate all those things you're talking about, I incorporate them all into my method. So I use breath work. Breath work is fundamental for well-being. There are lots and lots, hundreds of very simple breathing techniques. And I really encourage people to find themselves a simple, if you go online, you'll find simple breathing techniques. Probably the most famous one is something called box breathing, which is a fantastic technique. The US Navy SEALs use it for, if you don't know who they are, they're the
one of the
crack
best.
commando unit.
Yeah, one of the best.
In America, and they use it to remain calm and focused in difficult situations. And those guys only use things that work. So box breathing is really, really good. If you go online, you'll find out how to do it. 4, 4, 4, 4. Breathe in to the count of 4. Hold to the count of 4. Breathe out to the count of 4. Hold out to the count of 4. Do that a few times. Like I say, you'll find it online, and you will find it incredibly useful, particularly if you feel stressed out. Or, for instance, if you're having trouble sleeping, it'll help you with that as well. Or getting into your best state of mind for, I don't know, a special meeting or something like that. If you have a challenge coming up, it's a really good technique to use. So breath work, of course, breath work also includes a much longer, much more complicated breathing techniques. 6-6 breathing, which they say, if you do it for 20 minutes every day, improves everything you can measure about the human body. Okay, everything you can measure about the human body. So if you know that, why wouldn't you use it? But people are often they find it hard to find the time to do these things. So find yourself a nice, very simple, quick breathing technique and bring it into your life. Do it as soon as you wake up in the morning. Then you've got tapping, which you mentioned before.
And
Tapping
that's quite
is
interesting.
tapping on different parts of your body, and it changes your mental state. Sounds crazy. I thought it was crazy when I first heard about it 20 years ago or something. And I was persuaded to go and do a course in it. After 10 minutes, I realized it's completely magical. And you have to know which points to tap, and you have to know the various algorithms for whatever it is you're trying to treat, whether you're trying to dial up the positive stuff, dial down the negative stuff. You can use it for getting rid of stress, anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, all of that kind of stuff. And you can also use it for boosting confidence, energy, happiness, all of the positive things. So tapping, if anybody wants to know about any of these things, get in touch with me. If you want me to do webinars or group sessions, or if you want to learn any of these things, I'm here to teach. It's my life's work, and I'm here to teach.
And your details can be found on Instagram.
Instagram, Pete's Mental Gym, and my website's petesmentalgym.com.
Sure.
But there are other techniques as well. So you have NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. That is, I call it a kind of mental engineering. It was invented by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, two amazing hypnotists, and it's now commonly in use in business, in sport, in all kinds of other ways. It's a whole series of different exercises to help you make your mind stronger. The thing is about mental strength. Making your mind stronger to be able to do things better, whatever it is you're trying to do in life, whether it's sport, business, performing arts, whatever you're doing. I help people improve their performance level in all of these areas. And then there are various other a whole bunch of stuff I invented myself, which is really good for the same kind of thing. What we're trying to do is to get rid of the stress and boost up the happiness.
Sure. Could you go through an example of happy tapping, just for a couple of minutes
I could do. Did we not do that in the last?
We did, but let's just do another one, something different to that.
A different tapping
Yes,
technique?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll show you. It's not strictly speaking a tapping technique. But it's a very quick, really good technique for, you can use it for all kinds of things. If you're having a panic attack, you can take the panic attack away very quickly using this technique. I call it the 5-second eye movement technique. We know that lateral eye movement affects the brain.
Okay.
If you want me to explain that, well, we might be here for the next 3 weeks.
No. Let's not do that.
So it's a very complicated area. But just take my word for it. We know lateral eye movement affects the brain. And there are various techniques you can use. EMDR is very well known, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It is very well known. It's often used by psychologists, psychiatrists, people like that. So this is a very simple exercise which I invented myself some time ago. I've given it to thousands of people. Everybody loves it. It makes them feel better straight away. So it's a funny thing to do on a podcast, but I'll do it anyway.
Okay.
So follow my instructions. Okay. Think about the thing you may be upset about. Measure it on a scale of 1 to 10. That is, measure the intensity of it to you. When I say things like measure the intensity of it, you don't have to intellectualize on this. Just if you measure it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not much, 10 being a lot, a number will appear in your mind. Take that number. It's your subconscious mind, which knows everything about you, is suggesting that number. Just take it. You don't have to think about it. And 5-second eyes. So close your eyes for 5 seconds.
I've done that. Close my eyes.
And open your eyes. Keep your head still and look to the left as far as you can for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Look to the front. Now look to the right. Keep your head still. Look to the right for 5 seconds.
Okay.
And now look to the front again. And now I want you to look up as far as you can. So you're looking up behind your forehead. Keep looking up, keep looking up. And now while you keep looking up, take a nice big deep breath, breathe in. And when you breathe out, lower your eyes down to the ground as you breathe out. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Good. That's 5-second eye movement technique. It's a brilliant technique. Like I think I probably already said, if you take a few of these techniques, so a breathing technique, the 5-second eye technique, the happy tapping technique, which I did on a previous, or if you have a look on my Instagram, there's a whole bunch of other techniques that I put on there. Do a few of these techniques in the morning as soon as you get up, and you will find you'll have a better day. How will you know? You'll just feel yourself. Everything will be flowing easily and effortlessly, you know. I'm trying to get people in schools to spend 5 minutes every morning with kids before they start their academic day. Because if they did, they'd be much more relaxed. So in other words, we want them to do a little bit of breath work, a little bit of this exercise, a bit of that exercise, and you'd find they'd be much more relaxed. Their schoolwork would improve, their grades would improve, and they'd be, generally speaking, more happier and content if they would just do 5 minutes of this stuff in the morning, or anybody else for that matter.
Sure. And if you could give one single advice to every stressed out, burnt out entrepreneur, SME business owner, people like myself and others who do find it a slog. We have our good days, we have our bad days. It is every business day is no other. We always have curveballs, we have issues and problems. What one single advice can you give to us?
Okay, I'm going to give you a few, okay? Very, very simple things you can do to make your life better straight away. You know, there are so many simple things that you can do. The first thing is, you know, when you walk around, we're in a big city here, aren't we? Walk around, everybody looks fed up with everything. So a really good thing to do is to smile. Now, if you look in the mirror and smile at yourself, that's a really good thing to do to elevate your mood, you know. And as you go around, if you smile at people, you will find they'll smile back at you, and this exchange of energy gives you a really good boost. So that's one thing you could do.
Okay.
Number
Smiling,
two, self-talk. Self-talk, that's the way we speak to ourselves, the internal dialogue. Keep the self-talk nice and strong. You know, if you make a mistake of some kind or something happens that you don't like, it's no good saying to yourself, "Oh, you idiot," or something, maybe even worse, you know. Just swear at yourself.
Tell me about it.
Like, don't do that. The thing to do is to say, "That's okay. I'm all right." Smile and find yourself what we call an affirmation. An affirmation is a strongly worded sentence. Something like, I feel great, I feel strong, confident, powerful, I'm a winner. Find yourself an affirmation that you could say to yourself. Once you've picked an affirmation that you like, I feel strong, confident, powerful, it's a really good thing to say first thing in the morning. The thing is that what happens, the scientific, why it makes you feel better, is because these words that you're saying to yourself travel along neural pathways into your subconscious mind. And we were talking about the subconscious mind just now. One of the properties of the subconscious mind is it believes everything. So if you say, I feel strong, confident, powerful, the subconscious mind hears it, believes it, and it makes it true. So if you say, this is the whole point about affirmations, keep the self-talk nice and strong. And, you know, I'm a winner. That's an affirmation I often give to athletes when I work a lot with athletes.
Yeah.
I'm a winner. And it makes them feel good, and it replaces anything else in the mind which is negative. So find yourself a nice strong affirmation. So that's a couple of things.
Yeah.
Focus on what you want to happen, not what you fear might happen. You know, people worry.
That's powerful.
Focusing on if you talk to people about life, and it's very easy to find out what people don't want, you know, but it's much harder to get them to tell you what they do want. The thing is to focus on what you want to happen, not what you fear might happen, because a very good reason for this, and it's I'm going to tell you a phrase now which you can think about, you can take away and think about it, okay? Energy flows where attention goes.
Okay, so energy flows where attention.
Or attention goes where energy flows. It's the same, whichever way around you put it. So in other words, if you focus on what you want to happen, that's where the energy flows, that's where the energy goes, and it helps you to do that. Focus on what you want to happen, because people are worried that something terrible is going to happen. You know, I've noticed amongst clients of mine or people who come to see me that there's a common feeling amongst a lot of particularly self-made business people that everything is going to collapse any moment. You know, the whole thing, the whole pack of cards is going to come tumbling down.
I can relate to that. I think many can relate to that. We are quite, we can be quite pessimistic and depressed about small things. But if we don't have that inner talk to ourselves and other strategies, we could be walking around pretty low energy.
Yeah.
And that's not good because that's picked up by staff members, customers,
Yeah, absolutely.
stakeholders. Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
it's up to anybody who runs a business. Always revolves around the imagination and of the owner of the business who has the vision for that business.
So can I throw a curveball? Steve Jobs, he really was very optimistic.
Yeah.
He was really focused. He knew exactly what he wanted. I guess there was talk that he was in his own reality field, whether it's distorted or not. I mean, he was super creative.
He sure was.
Yeah. Do you think hypnotherapy and other techniques played a part in his business success? Are you aware of?
I have no idea what he did to keep. Of course, there's another side to that story as well, which was that he was. I think he was a bit of a depressive at some stage in his life.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know what he did, but I know that he was very interested in mental techniques of different kinds. So he may have done hypnosis.
Sure.
I don't know, but keeping your mental strength up, whatever you're doing in life, is very important. So there's two things about this. First of all right, mental strength. What is it? Where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get it? I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
Mental strength is a combination of confidence, belief, focus, motivation. These are the four cornerstones of mental strength. According to my definition, this is my definition of mental strength. Where does it come from? It comes from inside you. Everything you could possibly want to know is inside you.
Yeah.
How do you get it? Well, you follow my mental training method and you'll get it. And my mental training method is a bunch of very simple techniques which are very easy to do, but this is not an incredibly difficult thing to do. It's a combination, like we were saying before, of breathwork, hypnosis, tapping, NLP, a whole bunch of things that I've invented myself. Simple exercises. And when you start to use my method, I'm quite well known for my work in sport. But having said that, I've worked a lot in the corporate sector as well. I mean, with companies doing talks and workshops and stuff like that.
Sure. And what advice would you give to SME owners, corporate leaders who are skeptical about hypnotherapy and these other modalities?
Yeah, don't be skeptical. I mean, look, I know when I said this to you before, that you mentioned the word hypnosis, and everybody goes, you got to lock all the doors and windows to stop everyone running out of the room, But the fact is that hypnosis, if you said to me, you can only have one of these modalities, you can pick one out, then I would pick hypnosis every time. Having said that, all these other things I do, they reinforce the hypnosis. They make it stronger. They make it more potent. And there are certain things you can do by themselves. So, for instance, you can do a tapping technique, or you can do a breathing technique, and these things immediately change people's mental state as soon as you start doing them. When you have a combination of all of them, you see they all work on different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe that using these different techniques is the best way to do it. And Anne-Marie, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I've developed so many techniques and learnt so many techniques and nicked so many techniques of different people.
That's business.
That I don't think anybody has a resource as big as the one I have, and I don't think anything is better than what I do for performance improvement, like I say, whether it's sport, business, performing arts, or even if you're doing nothing at all, you just want to feel better with your life. You know, I do work with high achieving people, but I also work with a whole bunch of people who will never be known for anything at all. And I work with them because they need a kind of help they can't get anywhere else. So if you are stressed and you go to the doctor, you'll get very little help because doctors don't understand these things. They don't understand stress, they don't understand depression, they don't understand irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and I'll bet you I don't know how many people are going to be listening to this, but I'll bet you there are thousands of people who've now just pricked up their ears because I mentioned IBS. They reckon there are something like 10 million people who suffer from that.
Gosh.
In the USA and here in the UK.
Yeah.
And most doctors can't even tell you what it is. It's a stress-related condition. And I know how to fix it, and I can fix it very quickly. Doctors give you tablets. The tablets don't work, and people continue to have their symptoms for 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years. I met a guy in America not so long ago who, and this is the CEO of a big organization, who'd had IBS for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he hadn't found it, and he could afford any kind of intervention. You know, he was a very rich guy. And for 20 years he suffered from it because no doctor was able to offer him relief for the condition. And I know this happens a lot, it happens everywhere. That's why so many people are suffering from it. And it's a really debilitating, really nasty condition to have. But what I can also tell you is that hypnosis, plus maybe one or two of the other things I do, is the way to get rid of it very quickly. In some cases, I can get rid of it in one session.
Sure. So business-related anxiety, business stress is so common, particularly for startups, SMEs. It is, I call the black dog. It can just turn up anytime during the day or at night. And it's that worry, it's that anxiety. It's about paying people, paying your staff, paying your sponsors. It's about worrying about the bills coming in, and people get burnt out. And I've seen in so many of my friends who really struggle but never really ask for help.
Yeah.
And it's something that in the 1980s and 1990s it was all about, you know, the Wolf of Wall Street and not talking up, not opening up about mental health, mental resilience. Yeah. Where do you see this happening in the next 5 years? The kind of intersection between business and mental resilience. Where do you see it? Happening?
Well, that's an interesting question because I would have thought by now that people would be turning much more to these kind of methods. People are opening up a bit more than they used to, but I think it's a well-known fact that guys in particular find it very difficult to open up about these things. And so what you're finding is there are men's groups sprouting up here, there and everywhere to give men a place to talk if they want to, but they still men don't really like to talk about these things because it's seen as a sign of weakness. If you say, well, I'm depressed and I can't really manage and I don't know how I'm going to continue, and there's a lot of people who do feel like that. And in fact, it's a sign of great strength to be able to say this, you know, I've got this problem and I need some help. As soon as you're able to say that, you're halfway to solving the problem. And the main issue for people who are ready to open up is that, of course, your main address to go to is the GP, you know, your GP or a doctor. And doctors can't always help. Generally speaking, they can't help that much with these things because they don't know much about it. They certainly don't know anything about complementary therapies.
Yes,
Their way to treat these things is mainly with drugs.
Yeah, and that's wrong because we need to take a holistic approach. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, drugs are important, but we need to look at a holistic approach at illnesses and not just look at the symptoms, but at the cause.
Yeah.
I've got one more question. That is, I mean, do you believe most entrepreneurs operate in a state of chronic fight or chronic flight?
Well, everybody's different. When people have symptoms, they often hide what they got for reasons, that I've explained just now. I don't know if it's a good idea. They say that it's not a good idea to diagnose people from a distance.
Yeah.
I can only tell you from my own experience that, you talk about fight or flight. There's something inside all people who get into these kind of issues where they would just like to pack a bag and disappear and go somewhere else, But what you find is most people do stay around and fight it out.
Yeah.
My best advice, really my best advice, is to get together with people like me and work out what you find is once you start doing this stuff, so in other words, if you had once a week, if you had half an hour, say a group session with your staff once a week, you would find not only that you'd have a happier workplace, because as an entrepreneur, it's your job to have a happy workplace.
It's crucial, absolutely crucial to have a place where employees are comfortable.
Yeah, where people feel like when they get up in the morning, they look forward to going there and being part of it and feel, as a useful employee. And if you want to do that, then having regular sessions is going to bring it about. It's not a hugely expensive thing to do, but it can improve your life out of all proportion.
Sure. So I've noticed that, Pete, for many companies, MSME owners, they are incorporating these, embracing these modalities and integrating into the workforce.
Yeah.
I really think our modern work culture is wide for burnout. We have to respond immediately, quickly, emails, iPhones.
It's society generally. You've got kids in school who are under pressure the moment they start in school to pass exams.
Yeah.
And then, they do their A-levels, they go to university, then they're under pressure to get a degree and then to get a job. There's pressure on people the whole time. And, of course, they need to get a job because they've got to pay back the money that their degree has cost them.
Yeah.
And they put this pressure on us the whole time because that is the way they want to drive this society forwards. But it's a negative energy, and I don't think it's the right way to do it. If people are more relaxed and happy, they're going to get more done. What I was going to say to you before is when you incorporate some of this stuff into your life generally, say a regular session with your staff, the thing that improves more than anything else is the bottom line. You find that everybody's happy, people feel like take your restaurant, If the staff are happy and they joke with the customers, then the customers want to go back.
Super happy,
and they'll come again and they'll keep coming and they'll say, that is my place.
And I always tell my team, you are the king makers, you are the queen makers.
Absolutely.
You have the power to make our guests, our customers super happy for that evening.
If you have a bad experience in a restaurant, you get some grumpy waiter comes up and really isn't attentive to your needs and say, well, stuff this, I'm not coming back here again. And so what I'm saying is the bottom line improves. That's the whole thing.
And
it's not a wasted expense.
No, not at all. No, it's about productivity. It's about the outlook, mentality, and above all, it's the attitude of team members to have a positive mental outlook, and enjoying and thriving customer service.
Absolutely right. My work is all about trying to make the world a happier place. It may sound very naive, but I can't help it. It's the way I am. Ask anyone who knows me.
What are you doing?
But I'm trying to make the world a happier place, and I know that using these kind of methods does that.
Sure.
I said, smile. If you go around smiling, you've got to be a bit careful in a big metropolis like this, who you actually smile at. But the thing is that if you smile and you open your heart to people, your life improves immediately, you know, and it doesn't cost a single cent.
Sure. What's been one of the most, I guess, surprising lessons that you've learnt from working with stressed out business owners and leaders?
That when I started doing this, I started learning hypnosis to help my son, who is a tennis player. Well, he's a coach now. He's absolute top coach. And the reason I wanted to help him was because he used to lose his temper when he was playing all the time. So, he'd lose his temper and he'd lose a match he could easily have won if he hadn't lost his temper. And this was when he was about 7 or 8. And he was a well-known player. He was a county champion. I mean, he really had ambitions to be a professional player. And now... And none of the coaches had any idea about the mental side of things. They know about the physical side of things. Don't know anything about the mental realm. So I was looking for ways to help him. Found hypnosis, tried it out on him, made an immediate change. And now, 35 years later, he has an absolute top job. He lives in Mexico, works for a big American company.
Excellent.
Earns a fortune, has a great life. He's having the life I should have had.
I mean, are there any specific affirmations or visualizations that work well for business stress? And I understand that you successfully integrate breath work, NLP, hypnosis, and other modalities. But is there any specific affirmations to work well business stress, and also more importantly, imposter syndrome? That's growing big. Talking to a lot of people, a lot of people have this fear of failure and have this imposter syndrome about why are they in this role, or why are at this board meeting, and why are they speaking?
Well, yes. I mean, I've come across this many, many times. CEOs of companies who cower in the corner of their office thinking, why have I got this job? Why, thousands, tens of thousands of people, and people who, one of the big things, one of the most ubiquitous fears that people have is the fear of public speaking. Yeah. And they might be in a room like this with maybe 4 people around a table, where they have to speak on a subject that they know very well, they're very conversant with it, and they feel like somebody's torn the tongue out of their mouth. They cannot speak. It's one of those things, or like you say, imposter syndrome, where they're cowering in the corner thinking, why am I doing this job? What qualifications have I got for this, And there's one person in particular I can think of who, if I mentioned his name, and I'm not going to mention his name, everybody listening to this would know who he is. And
because you've worked with a number of established people.
Oh yes, I have, absolutely, yes, and it happens to a lot of people. It's so the first thing about it is it's no disgrace to find yourself in this frame of mind.
Yeah, that's really important to accept that first and foremost.
It's no disgrace. It's not your fault. These things happen. The nature of society, we live in a dysfunctional society where this can happen to people. The thing is to find help for it. Now, I know it's very difficult. When you go online, there are millions of people offering all kinds of services, and some of those people are okay, and some of them are not so okay.
Charlatans and quacks.
Yeah, absolutely,
Get rich scams.
Absolutely. And particularly now, in this world where this so-called coaching, life coaching, has become such a big industry, God knows why. Okay, you better not start me off on that.
No, we won't.
Because most of those people I talk to haven't got a clue what they're talking about. They've been doing it for 5 minutes and they're going out giving advice to other people. So you have to be very careful who you go to for advice. I can only tell you that I've had 35 years of helping people with this kind of stuff, and I know the methods I have. And when I say the methods I have, they're not static. I'm always learning new things. I'm always developing things. I'm always going to the other side of the world to find a new technique from somebody that I've heard about, you know. So it's a movable feast. It's always growing. We're always learning new things. So you talk about hypnotherapy. You know, maybe your average high street hypnotherapist has a system they use, and many of them do. They have a system they use. Some kind of old-fashioned hypnotherapy where they use maybe progressive relaxation to get people nice and relaxed, and they have a script that they read to, I don't know, help them stop smoking or lose weight or get rid of fears, phobias, that kind of thing. And in some cases it works, and some cases it doesn't, because they don't really know what they're doing. You know, they're just following a script, if you like. But if you listen very carefully to what people are telling you when they have a problem, it's very easy to find the clues, you know, to find the missing piece of the jigsaw, which is what you need to help them complete. And it always works. It always works, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I've ever had a failure, you know. I've treated lots and lots of people, hundreds, it could even be thousands of people, for helping them stop smoking. In fact, it will be thousands, because I've done it in groups of hundreds. And I can only remember one person in 35 years where I wasn't able to help them stop smoking, and I know why that was. You know, there was a particular reason for it.
Yeah.
So all of these things that I use are backed by science. There's a scientific reason for any of them. If you want to ask me the scientific reason, why does hypnotherapy work? Then I can tell you. I don't want to tell you now, because, you know, but if anybody wants to call me up and say, why does hypnotherapy work? What's the scientific background to it? Actually, the answer I would give you, I will give you one answer now. If you want a full scientific answer, call me up and ask me. Albert Einstein, you've heard of him.
Oh, yes, the incredible, amazing professor, genius.
Well, exactly, genius, probably the most famous scientist who ever lived. Invented the theory of relativity. That's E equals mc squared.
Yeah, for those who don't know.
Which is the cornerstone of all modern science. And when he invented that equation, he was in a hypnotic trance, because
really interesting.
He used to use hypnosis every day when he was working. He'd go into a hypnotic trance. He'd use self-hypnosis. People say, can you hypnotize yourself? Yes, you can. I teach all my clients. You know, I keep telling you, it's your turn next to learn self-hypnosis.
Yes.
And you can hypnotize yourself. He used to do it every day. And when he invented the theory of relativity, he was in a hypnotic trance. E equals mc squared. E stands for?
Was it energy?
Energy. Einstein said there is only energy.
Yes.
And all my work is about energy. What I do is, it's a kind of energy healing, but I'd call it energy psychology.
Sure. So, I mean, what advice would you give to someone who says leading a team, a business, but while silently struggling with their own stress?
Yeah.
Because we do have a lot of middle managers who are running teams.
Yeah, we do.
Reporting back to their heads.
Yeah.
Who just are struggling.
Yeah.
What advice would you say to them?
Well, what I would say is this. I've got something there that can help you. And it's up to you whether you get in touch with me and you want to do sessions with me, or get me in to work with your team, or whether you want to look online. You know, like I say before, I would just say, beware. Don't. I can also advise you where to go to online. You don't have to come to me. I can advise you where to go. I would say do this stuff. I have absolutely no qualms in saying I spend half my life persuading people to use, in particular, hypnosis. Like I say, people go like this, but hypnosis is the most wonderful modality for just about everything. There is nothing to be frightened of. People say, well, I don't like to lose control. Who says you lose control in a hypnotic trance? You don't.
No.
You gain more control over your mind than you've ever had before.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
perfectly safe, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And I would say hypnosis is the best thing to do. And if you back it up with things like that we've been talking about, tapping, NLP, breathwork, etc., etc., then all you need to do is to spend, even if you spend 10, 15 minutes a day doing these things, I mean, it's better if you can spend more, but you will find your life improving. You know, even if a simple breathing exercise, such as box breathing that I mentioned earlier, can change your life. I think I'm right, so I think you can back me up on that.
You actually, we had a session a few weeks ago, and it was just very transformative. It was just incredible, because for any businessman or woman, you don't know what's going to happen during the day, and there are periods of emotional stress, periods of high anxiety, but it will always pass. And what you taught me about box breathing was super useful. It just calmed me in the moment, because for a lot of business people, they can react in the wrong way to news, and it is stressful running businesses. But box breathing was something I can really say has helped me. It's really transformed me.
Brilliant.
I mean, I'm a mouth breather, and we worked on that as well, about breathing techniques.
Well, you see, there you have another subject that's coming up. But you're a mouth breather for a particular reason.
Yeah, because I've got a broken nose up over here. So, and what I've noticed is we're not breathing right. For many of us, we're not.
Well, nobody does, because we breathe in a very shallow way into the top part of our lungs.
Yeah.
And what we should, first of all, you have to breathe through your nose, because the mouth is the beginning of the digestive system. That's where we take food in. The nose is the beginning of the respiratory system. It warms and cleans the air when it goes in. So because of that, it gets distributed around the body. The CO2 and the oxygen get distributed in a different way. And so, first of all, we need to nose breathe. If you look at the history of this, you will know that thousands of years ago, human beings looked different than they do today, because we used to be more upright. There's a book called Breath, or is it Breathe, which I recommend everybody to read. And it gives you the whole history of this.
Yes, you mentioned that book.
Why it is that we should be breathing through our noses. Again, I spend a lot of time trying to persuade athletes to breathe through their nose when they're performing, because their performance level will increase just by doing that. Well, it's a very difficult thing to do, because it's against everything they've always done. Because footballers in particular tend to play with their mouths open.
Yeah.
So, and of course, if you want to train yourself to nose breathe, then the best way to do it is, when you go to bed at night, tape your mouth up. Now, I know this sounds very extreme, but it's really not that extreme. You put a bit of tape over your mouth like that, a tiny bit of tape, not right across your whole mouth, but just like that, vertically. And so your mouth is closed when you're asleep. You'll find it opens up all the sinuses, and after a couple of days, you'll open up a whole new world for yourself by doing this. And so that's something I recommend. Very
sure. So how can someone tell it's time to start trying out hypnotherapy?
When is it time?
Yeah.
The time, Amrit, is now. The time is always now. There is no other time. Now is the time to do it. If you want to improve your life, if you want to improve the standard of whatever you're doing, the level, the performance level, if you're involved, maybe you're a professional of some sort. Over the years, I've worked a lot with people who work in law, people who have to, address juries and stuff like that. And if you want to improve your performance level, whatever you're doing, then you really need to do this stuff. Every now and again, all my clients in football at the moment are Premiership footballers. And I mean, next season, who knows who might come along and want to use my services. But every now and again I hear about a club, a football club, that doesn't do any mental training. I know of 2 clubs in the Premiership, top clubs in the Premiership, who don't do any mental training with their players. And when I hear this, I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, I literally cannot speak. I mean, what can you say? You know, you've got a situation where they have players get paid millions and millions a year, even the not so good players, you know, are on millions a year.
And on that, so Gareth Southgate, when he was manager of England, actually did a lot of work around breath work, mindfulness, visualization. But that should be the way now in most Premier clubs. And but I hear what you say.
It should be, but it isn't. I mean, the stuff that Gareth Southgate did, I mean, he's an okay guy. I've talked with him about this, by the way.
Yeah, oh, wow. Excellent.
And there was always an idea to bring hypnosis into the groups he was running at the time, and he never did it. He wasn't somehow able to make that little leap. You have to make a little leap of faith.
Of course, that's what life's about. That's a great opportunity.
Yeah. And when you do, I don't know anybody who hasn't been absolutely elated by the fact they've made this leap of faith and managed to get all the advantages you can get from this kind of stuff. It's true he brought a sports psychologist into mind you, he's not the first one. Glenn Hoddle did as well. He brought somebody that he sort of called a faith healer into the group.
I remember, and it was a bit of a controversial thing at that time.
Yeah, it was very controversial.
And I don't think we were ready.
Some of the things he said were not only controversial, but a little bit silly, actually.
Yeah, sure.
So, in fact, there were questions in Parliament. Did you know?
I think so. I can recall. Yes, there were. I think just trying to wrap up. You know, it's been really helpful what we've been talking about, and it's clear that stress comes hand in hand in business, and
for sure.
Hypnotherapy and hypnosis and the other modalities such as breathwork, NLP, really helps in reducing stress.
It takes it away completely.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to emphasize the fact that when you do it properly, it has a really strong effect. It's not just that you feel a little bit better. It completely changes your life. You know?
And would you say that almost every single person in a public life who's at their peak, say a singer like Dua Lipa or Beyonce, business men and women like Apple owner, the CEO, the Google, they all are aware of these modalities.
Some are, some aren't. Dua Lipa is, I think. You see, look, there's an element that I haven't talked about, and it's something which, when you're talking about people like that, people who perform, either in sport, performing arts, or even in business, there's an element of the inspirational level, you know.
Right, okay.
And when I work with people like that, that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for somebody who feels a little more content in life. What we're looking is to bring them into that inspirational field where what they do is incredible.
Magic.
Yes,
I would say.
magic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Magic is a very good word.
Yeah.
You know, that's the word that they used about NLP and about Bandler's work. Richard Bandler, one of the inventors of NLP. In fact, I think his first book had magic in the title. I can't remember what the title is. But no, magic is absolutely right. This is what a lot of people say about it, that it's absolutely magic. That a simple breathing exercise can bring that magic into your life. That if you're looking for that level of inspiration, then my mental training process will bring you to that level. It will.
Sure. So finally, Peter, what's next for you? Any new projects, workshops, or Any goals on the horizon?
Well, like everybody else, I'm always looking to get better at what I do, and I'm always looking for new things. I am about to release to the world one of my techniques, which I've been developing for many years, and I've given to a few people. And it is so good. It's so great. I call it the control room of the mind. And I'm about to release that in a big way on the world. So you will be hearing about that. And then I've got a few other things to follow that up.
Sure. Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming on Burns Speakeasy.
My pleasure.
We need to do another session, and this time we have to speak about a certain iconic Indian cricket player, Sachin.
Oh yeah, we haven't done that
and
yet,
so
have
we need to have a session about how you helped him, how he reached out to you,
Yeah.
and how he made an incredible record. So let's wait for the next session.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.